Hello everyone, and welcome to my new reviews for you guys. And of course, I'm coming out with 3 reviews for you guys: Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile, Tolkien, which was the most recent that I saw today. And of course, I reviewed Avengers Endgame, which I saw about 2 weeks ago. And I seen that twice, and I get to review it because I'm very much behind on that. Even though I've seen that twice. But regardless, today I'm just focusing on my review for Extremely Wicked, Vile, and Shockingly Evil, and Vile. So in this movie, of course, it's written and directed by Joe Berlinger, although it's based on a novel. Basically, from the woman from the longest movie, played by Lily Collins, who's in both this film and Tolkien, for the fact. And of course, the person who made this movie is Joe Berlinger. It's also about these. It's a chronicalization of how Ted Bundy got into the jail and how he was prosecuted, and it shows the perspective of his longtime girlfriend and how it affected her overall, and how it affected everyone, and how the media saw him and how others viewed him, how he ultimately made himself one of the most notorious and infamous serial killers in history, because there is no grades when it comes to a profession like this, even though it's not a profession. My main overall thoughts for Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile, which is a way too long of a movie title. What ultimately makes this movie work in my mind is the establishment of the relationships and how they've grown, and how you see them blossom and grow within the movie, and how you see Ted Bundy grow with his longtime partner, and how it affects him, how it affects the public season in jail, and how it all kind of culminates towards it, and how he kind of gets this big following, and how he's seen as almost overly sexualized, and how he has this girlfriend, while he has another girlfriend, but is in jail because she ultimately leaves him. And again, I'm not going to act like I know everything about Ted Bundy, though I know pretty basic stuff, like how he did all these horrible murders. He was ultimately a bit of an attention whore. He wanted a lot of the cameras on him during the trials and all that, and how sick and fucked up he really was. And I do think it does that well. What this movie does well enough to really establish it strongly, in my opinion, is, of course, the relationships. You buy the relationships entirely. Zac Efron is both smooth, charming, likable, and suave enough to where you can really kind of get why he's in this world to begin with when you're watching it. Me and my friend last week were talking about this movie, and he said, and he was watching with his family, and his mom was like, well, why is he in this movie? And afterwards, she's just like, yeah, I can see why now. Excuse me. He perfectly has a sense of charm and wit, and has an incredible sense of delusion, grandeur, and cunning persuade in his mind, and how you feel like he can just charm any woman to any position and basically kind of get away with murder, which you kind of have, because that's how kind of delude themselves in a way. And the relationships and the chemistry are all well done. They're well done. He is a great. Also, Lily Collins as his longtime girlfriend, she's really good. You get the sense of a moral dilemma, what she's going through, of course. Although it's not really that captivating, but it's still engaging enough towards you're like, okay, again, at least see the procedure of how these two really got involved and how it affected a long time perspective of her when, again, her to aspire to write a novel on this, and how Joe Berlinger wrote this into the serial killer mysteries thing they wrote earlier this year, which I also think is really good. Well, it's certainly better than this film. But the film is, there's some good chemistry there, there's some good relationships, you can still see what I've seen. And of course, Zac Efron is the one reason why I keep coming back to this film. He really is that one, for me, when I reflect everything back on this film, the one linchpin, the one thing that really makes you want to pull back towards it, the one thing that really stands out among everything else, is him. He is that suave, that cool, that charming, that will really pull you back into this role, and you can see why. And the chemistry and relationships are established well enough to where you can believe it. Granted, I do think, and this is my segue into the weaknesses of the film, it ultimately does feel sensationalized. It does feel a bit too broadened. It doesn't really get too intimate within a relationship. It still keeps it engaging enough, but you always feel at arm's. You ultimately feel like you're at arm's length. And while it does delve into the mental aspects of the other side, how it deludes them to such angles, which I have, you can, and while it does touch upon them, it never feels like it's going too deep. It feels, again, like I said, at arm's level. It doesn't go into a true psychological analysis and how it affected her or him. It felt so broad and quite sensationalized towards an angle where you're like, you can see why it is. It also, as interesting as it is, it still kind of plays it all off kind of a bit non-eventfully. I won't say non-eventfully, but it feels completely book by numbers for its genre. It does nothing new, like with its own genre or anything else, doesn't really make it feel like anything new or anything. It's like, what does this mission on Ted Bundy do to really establish it from anything else? It's sharp writing, it's plot, is anything like that? It's script or anything? No, the script is kind of standard, to be fair. Which is why I do think it's not written poorly, but it's ultimately standard for what it is. And again, coming back to Zac Efron, he's that one linchpin, as I said, to really keep you coming back for this role. And it is ultimately not weak, but there's not enough strength to really keep it as one of the uniquest things about it. So overall, I do think Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile is honestly a bit of a mixed bag. I can see why someone likes it, I can see why doesn't like it. Ultimately, for me, I did feel myself ultimately captivated by the relationships, how interesting they were together, and how shockingly good Zac Efron is in this role. There's one moment in the end which happens. He gets sentenced by the judge, who's played by John Malkovich. A couple of cameos. You get Haley Joel Osment in this movie. You got James Hetfield from Metallica as a police officer who interrogates him at one point. I thought that was a great little bit there. I'm like, oh yeah, because Joe Berlinger also helped him with a documentary on Metallica, or a novelization of that as well. So I liked how that was there, and I like that. I like these certain cameos. I love distracting, but still serve a function in their own roles, like Haley Joel Osment, him, and Jim Parsons from The Big Bang Theory. They're all engaging enough, which I felt at least never bored by, which is because for thrillers ultimately it rides on how the establishment of relationships and how they fumble within the relation boundaries. Like just thrillers, they're not meant to be epic or anything like that. They're meant to be a little bit more strong and contained. And I liked how it kind of felt dramatized in that. Even though it ultimately does feel sensationalized, it still feels interesting enough. It never gets to near psychological analysis of it, but it's still engaging enough to where you could see why you do like it. So for overall, extremely wicked, shockingly evil, and vile, I enjoyed fine, and I'm going to give this movie a 64%. I'm going to give it a 66% everyone. I really do. I'm going to give it a 64% everyone. I really do hope you enjoyed my review of this movie. As always, thank you very much. You can click right here to subscribe and hear my next video. And yeah, as always, thank you very much. And of course, my next review will be, of course, Tolkien. Till then, ciao. Peace. Also, Hacksaw. What the hell?